TNT's back with a doubleheader tomorrow night starting in Cleveland, where Lonzo Ball gets his first taste of the LeBron James as opponent experience. That was his favorite player growing up, he says. Mavericks and Warriors on the back end from Oakland. And Game 1 will no doubt inspire more chatter about the possibility of LeBron joining the Lakers next summer when he hits free agency again. He recently purchased a home in Brentwood that's led to an increase in dot connection on that front. But in significant ways, the Lakers would be a very different move for the King. He'd be playing in the West for the first time, for one, and joining a team without any current All-Stars. Remember, in both of his previous free agent moves, James joined or teamed up with existing All-Stars. And yes, Luol Deng was a two-time All-Star for Chicago, but he's not really a factor at the moment and likely would be a move to accommodate an eventual LeBron arrival. Sam Amick of USA Today stirred that LeBron pot last week when he made a case for James landing in Houston if he decides to leave Cleveland a second time around. And as you can see, Sam is with us here on Game Time. Sam, as far as the Rockets go, what is the smoke-to-fire ratio for that scenario?
I think it's pretty decent. I mean, to me, Matt, we are at this stage, right, where we're going to start getting a proverbial short list together. And the thing that I'm most interested in is that during the regular season, while teams can't be calling LeBron, they can't be calling Rich Paul, Maverick Carter, and actually recruiting the man at this point, they can recruit with their play. And in that regard, the Rockets are doing as well as anybody right now. They're painting this picture that, hey, LeBron, if you come this way, James, CP, that's working fine. We're playing defense for once. We're looking like a championship caliber team, the kind of squad that would push the Warriors. I think could push them now. Add LeBron to that mix. Obviously, that could be special. You know, we are speculating at this point, but there is a lot of smoke here, and I think it's worth watching.
Well, it's really intriguing, obviously, but there's some cap issues. There's the question of whether Harden in particular would want to play with LeBron. James, Chris Paul, and LeBron are good friends, obviously. How likely, as we sit here today in December, do you think this is?
So on the cap front, here's my perspective. The Warriors, ironically, rewrote the book on moving pieces to get cap room. Andre Iguodala back in 2013 decided that he wanted to go to Golden State. They didn't have room. They moved a couple of guys to Utah. This has become an NBA where it's kind of where there's a will, there's a way. If LeBron James goes ahead and tells the Rockets during free agency, I want to come your way, I do have high confidence that Daryl Morey, their GM, will be able to find the moves necessary to create the room. Ryan Anderson certainly would be on his way, but they would have a lot of work to do to get not only LeBron but re-sign Chris Paul. You also have to think about the idea of Chris potentially taking less to bring his buddy to town. That to me it's way down the road, but I do think the graphic you showed coming in here is really relevant. History tells us that LeBron has joined teams that have multiple All-Stars, and the Lakers, as exciting as their young guys are, and as much as there is some promise there, my whole thing is I just cannot see him going west and taking on a team like the Warriors with that kind of a young squad unless he had major help like he can find in Houston.
I tend to agree with you on that. If he's doing that, he's probably already worked out an arrangement where some other elite player is coming along with him. And to your point about the salary cap, every team in the league would make the deal and then figure it out, right? I mean, just the way it works.
No question.
Let's take a step backward, though. The Cavs hedged against LeBron leaving when they picked up Brooklyn's #1 pick in that Isaiah Thomas trade last summer. They're obviously worried, and from what I hear, more worried than they've ever been in recent years. How likely do they think, from what you've heard, that LeBron bolts a second time here?
I think they are worried. The tough thing about trying to get a real accurate pulse on what the Cavs are thinking is that it begins and ends with Dan Gilbert, right? And the idea that with all that history between LeBron and Dan and the city, Dan's the only guy who knows where he's at when it comes to this scenario. If he's willing to deal that Brooklyn pick to try to go to great lengths to hold on to LeBron again and then potentially be holding the bag if he leaves this summer. Everybody around the league tends to think that Dan's going to be stubborn. He's not going to want to move the pick. And let's not also gloss over the reality that pick is just not as valuable as we thought it was going to be. Right. The Nets are playing, a little bit better. So the value goes down. I don't think that the Cavs are going to go all in, but they're going to have to follow Dan and what he wants to do. And I am with you. The worry, I think, is at a high level. But I'm not ready to say that there's no way LeBron's coming back. The Cavs are a hell of a squad right now, playing good ball, and certainly they're right there.
Be an interesting thought also if the Cavaliers would be willing to even trade that Brooklyn pick if they really want to go for it. I mean, that's really rolling the dice. But if you're going for it and you think you might only have 1 year left, maybe that's the move to make. It's all going to play
No
out over
question.
the next few months.
Yeah.
Sam, we appreciate the speculation, the dot connection, etc. Sam Amick with us from USA Today.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. What do you make of this? The Houston possibility is certainly an interesting one, but it begs a bunch of questions as well.
Yeah, I don't see a likely scenario with the Rockets. I mean, it's interesting to look at it from that perspective. I don't know that James Harden would want it. I think James Harden feels like he's the best player. I think also Houston feels like we can win it with what we got right now. That remains to be seen. Obviously, the Warriors are going to be the favorites. I think there are other plausible scenarios for LeBron. I think you're right to say, well, he's never done this. He's done it basically one time. He went to Miami, then he went back to Cleveland.
Right.
It's not like he's done it 5 times, or that's the modus operandi, right? So I think what he's also in his 15th year, so he's got a different perspective at this point of his career. And I think the season, basically, to your point, the teams are auditioning, right? Who's got the best young talent? And I'm looking around, if I'm LeBron, again, I'm focused on the season, but yeah, you can speculate a little bit.
Sure.
You're sitting around one day, All-Star break, you got a week off. I look at the Sixers. They might have the best young nucleus of anybody. Mm-hmm. The Knicks, because Kristaps Porzingis might be the best young talent in the game. And then the Lakers. They've got some guys who are really starting to show. They're playing good basketball right now relative to where they were, their style. These kids are all learning how to play without the basketball. So I think there are other plausible scenarios that he's looking at. Plus, Golden State's not going to be Golden State for the next 7 years.
Right.
Potentially, they're not 23, 24, 25. So there are other scenarios that I think that you have to take into consideration if and when that time comes.
Yeah, and I don't think Houston, because Chris Paul has the ball in his hand, James Harden has the ball in his hand, and LeBron has the ball in his hand. So I don't look at that as a scenario. I look at the Lakers just because of he has a home out there and so much young talent. And when you start looking at whether you keep Ingram and Kuzma and Lonzo, you can keep all of them because they're still on their rookie deals. And you can bring somebody with LeBron. And you start adding somebody with LeBron and somebody to this organization, like a Cousins.
And cap-wise, that wouldn't be a huge lift.
Wouldn't be a huge lift. And then the next for me is I still won't count out the Miami Heat. I know that's a long shot, but I still wouldn't count out the Miami Heat of having LeBron come back with Wade, with Melo, with Paul, all being able to go back to Miami.
I'm just kind of blown away that everybody is so convinced he's going to leave a place where he's gone to the conference
That was my next question, but you're addressing it, yeah.
7 straight years where a team has been assembled around him. Correct me if I'm wrong. They were not a playoff team the year before he got there, right?
That is correct.
In Cleveland,
They
the
were
second time around.
Bad.
And GA mentioned this earlier today, somewhere in one of these hallways, that LeBron could basically get on any team in the Eastern Conference and automatically vault them into championship contention.
Yeah.
And Matt, you may have said that, but I guarantee you somebody said it, and it makes sense. If I'm LeBron James, why am I hunting for a new place to go? When I'm in Cleveland, I've gotten whoever, whenever I really want them to come play with me. The only guy that I probably couldn't call on the phone and try and recruit to come to Cleveland right now is Kyrie Irving, right? So why am I running away from a guaranteed situation in Cleveland for the gamble that might be somewhere else? I don't know that LeBron has to leave Cleveland. Now, if he did, now if he's looking at it and saying, where's the young group of talent that I can join, mesh with, and elevate them to that next level? Well, he's got a bunch of different teams he could look at and choose that. I mean, you can go everywhere. Milwaukee, in the East, you can stay in the Eastern Conference, do it with Philly, Milwaukee, a bunch of different teams.
To me, yeah.
Or you could go West, which I don't know that it makes sense to go West and bang your head on the Warriors' front door. When you can wait a little while and see them in the finals as opposed to catch them in the second round of the Western Conference playoffs. But I don't understand the whole notion that LeBron is going to be restless at this stage of his career. Like, maybe there's somebody out there that LeBron wants to come play with him in Cleveland. And his job is not going to be leaving, but recruiting somebody to come play with him.
And the idea of going west, I'm with you on that. I don't get it, especially if he reaches the finals again for the 8th straight time. You guys know how conscious he is of history. you could be talking about going to 9 or 10 straight finals. That's
I
that's
just
a big
don't
deal.
think he cares. Wherever he wants to go, he's going to the finals.
Yeah,
Pretty much.
I think that's what he believes.
That's what he believes.
Well, and
West or East, I think he believes that.
recent history has shown that to be correct.
Yeah.
The finals
He hasn't given us a reason to doubt him.
The finals pretty much follows him
Yeah.
wherever he goes.